Oh, I see my face.
And now you're live.
Right now I'm live?
Yes, it takes about 20 seconds for it to show up on your page.
Ah.
But
You see yourself?
do you see yourself yet?
We're live and we're discussing how to
Hit
do
play,
this.
and then you can hit share. There you go.
How come it's not, this is the right one, right?
Yep. So refresh. There we are. Hit share, and we should be good. Hey, buddy. All right, Dana.
I think we're on. I think
I know we're on.
All right, I'm gonna trust you, the live stream master. What's up, everybody? Dana George here, your mortgage guy. NMLS number 1708296. I'm looking at my phone.
And I'm Matthew Javier Donahue, the Salty and Lit coach.
And I'm Carlos Phoenix with Live Streaming Master. And this is It Was All a Dream with the Odd Squad.
Yes.
And why is it was all a dream again?
So first of all, everybody knows I love hip hop, right? And
Very much so.
That was like one of my idols. I would have named Mason Christopher Wallace if Jessica let me. But he said a line. I think it was like one of the greatest opening lines ever for a hip hop song when he said, "It was all a dream." Mm-hmm. And the way I correlated to the show is, with the coaching and the self development and self growth we've done, like I feel like I'm living a dream right now. So like the way I am right now, the way I interact with people and my confidence and all that other stuff is like, it's all a dream. It was all a dream, but now I'm here, just like Biggie.
All right.
Rags to riches.
And the
So
reason
what's today's topic?
Well, I was gonna say the Odd Squad is because of the three walks of life that we all in. And the reason why actually we're doing this show is because we're doing something a little different. Years ago, I started coaching. Matt laughed at me about coaching. And now he got his own coach because he had to hear it from someone else. Couldn't take my word from it.
Well, I took your word. It was just, more cosigns.
Yeah, he needed more co-signing. And then Mr. Live Streaming Master over here, I talked to him about coaching as well, and he had his little stigmas on it. But look we're all here today.
Amazing.
Due to coaching. So what is going to be our topic for today?
So we're going to talk about habits, and before we do that, I want to introduce the sponsor for today is Imperium Physical Therapy in Wantagh. The website is imperiumptp.com. And
How do you spell Imperium? I want to spell it for them.
That put me on the spot.
Yeah.
IMPERIUMPTP.com. Mm-hmm. And the owner, the operator, the CEO is one of my former college roommates, Frankie.
All right.
And Frankie has a really cool journey. I hope one day we can get him on the show because we went to college together. We were kind of wild. He was on the football team. I don't want to put his business out there, but he was on the football team, and I was always with the football team. So we got away with a good amount of stuff that other students probably would have got kicked out of school for.
You played football?
No, but I was with the football team.
You were at the right people.
Yeah, I was like one of the little groupie. I was too pretty for football. You know what I'm saying? So then, he was going to school to be a gym coach, and he got to the point where he just didn't like it. And I feel like a lot of people would have been in that situation, kind of been like, I already went to school for this. I got my education. I'm kind of stuck.
Yeah.
This is what I have to do for the rest of my life. And he was like, no, I hate my life. I hate what I'm doing. Like. So he went back to school to be a physical therapist. Okay. Which was, really, really crazy.
And now he has his own business.
And he's a fantastic guy. He's been a great friend. I got a lot of love for him.
Frankie, we need you.
Frankie, we need you.
All right, perfect.
So check him out, imperiumptp.com. And we're going to be talking about today some habits, right? Because, as we said earlier, it was all a dream. In order to get to this dream we're living, we've had to go through certain changes, and certain things we've had to start implementing to get here. So I'm gonna start by putting my boy DJ on the spot. DJ, what is a couple of habits you've implemented to help you along the way?
Well, everything that we do is a habit, right? Whether it's going to help us progress or regress. And habits are, could be good, can be bad, and some of them are harder to break and some of them are harder to implement. So one thing that's good about I think people should realize that everything is a habit and that it's not easy to make a change. You have to implement it, and it does take time. So for me, when I started coaching, they taught me certain things that I just didn't implement because my habit was I was stuck doing something for the past 39 for like 37 years. So you're doing something doing the same thing for 37 years and then trying to implement it. And even like talking about it, like having a coach is like a habit. It's uncomfortable to talk about it because I'm afraid of what people are going to think. But now, so some of the things that definitely has helped me out is to be able to talk, express myself. I think a lot of times that there's a big issue in this world where being a man, quote unquote, you can't talk about certain things. You can't show your feelings. Like, you can't be like that because that's not the true definition of a man. So that was
soft.
Exactly. Or you'd be considered soft. And that was like one of the biggest changes that has happened for me is like where you want to call it soft or whatever is to be able to make it in a habit to express myself instead of letting it all pile up. So that would be one of them. My morning rituals are like the biggest things for me, where if I can get up early enough, I like to write, meditate, visualize my day and my future goals, and do like affirmations as well.
Okay.
What about for yourself?
Yeah, a lot of those same things. First of all, the being more vulnerable. Being more vulnerable. That's
a good word.
Was a huge thing because to me everything was always like I'm good. Like I'm fine. And
that's a habit.
Yeah, and people would believe me because on the surface I'm like I'm just calm. You know what I'm saying? I'm regular, and I was able to like kind of compartmentalize my life where I really never talked about anything that's going on. Correct. Like remember we were out to dinner a couple weeks ago with my boy Rick, right? And Rick is Mason's godfather. That's how close we are.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? He was my best friend throughout college. In our 20s, I was in the Bronx, he was in Harlem, so we were like, it was like a 10-minute drive to his crib. And when you had mentioned like about my big brothers passing away, and Ricky's like, I didn't even know you had big brothers. You know what I'm saying? Like, so Ricky's one of my closest friends, and he didn't even know that. That's not even something like, and not because I wanted to be sick. It's just, it's just like kind of like life. You know what I'm saying? Like I just bottled away something.
Gotcha.
And one night, about a year ago, I was out with Joe, and Joe told me, he's like, it's like, we get together, and Joe would always vent, he'd always talk to me, and Joe would be like, I feel like, you're one of my best friends, and you know everything about me. He's like, but I don't really know a lot about you. And that kind of had me like thinking a little bit like, how could I be like, I hang out with Joe, like we play ball together 5 days a week. In the summer we go golfing on Saturdays. Mason calls him Uncle Joey. You know what I'm saying? So how could we be that close and you not know me? And I thought like low key, like, I don't know what to think. You know what I'm saying? So then I came to the realization like he doesn't know me because I'm not vulnerable. Yeah. And I don't think I was even vulnerable with myself. Like I don't think I even really kind of like knew myself. There's feelings and emotions and stuff I had bottled up so far deep under Carlos's onion that I didn't even realize was there. So practicing being vulnerable, and Giovanna, that's like one of the biggest, she's like, that was like the biggest thing I saw in you is when you first got here, like I was like pulling teeth from you. Then at the end, like, it's like, you're like 20 minutes, 15 minutes, 30 minutes over our session because you don't want to stop. You don't want to stop talking. You know what I'm saying? So being vulnerable has been huge. And because if you're not vulnerable, I feel like you can't connect with people. And I want deeper relationships. I want more meaningful relationships. So doing that, the affirmations have been huge. I'm a big believer in the affirmations, and to the point where like I call Mason when I'm in my break room, and I call Mason at about 8:30 every morning before he goes to school.
Okay.
And I've taught Mason affirmations. So before we get off the phone, I'm like, yo, Mason, tell me 6 things about yourself really quickly. And Mason says, I'm strong, I'm powerful, I'm unstoppable, I can do anything I put my mind to, I'm loved, and when people need me, I'm there for them.
That's a habit right there.
Yeah. So every single morning. So it's to the point where even my coworkers, I've like 4 or 5 coworkers around me. where they have the affirmations memorized. You know what I'm saying? Like recently, about a month or so, up until a month ago, we only had 5, and then I added one. And as soon as I added the first day, the coworkers, we have 6 now. You know what I'm saying? So they were like hyped. You know, so and I think that's a beautiful thing to instill that into my son. And then just some other habits is I cut back on caffeine like completely, bro. I was drinking like 400, 500 milligrams of caffeine.
I don't drink that.
Energy drinks, pre-workouts, coffee, wherever I can get it in.
Yeah.
And I just felt like sluggish and like I felt like crap because there's always be some type of crash.
Yeah.
So about a month and a half ago, I started drinking, maybe 2 months ago, I started drinking, it's called mushroom coffee. And I'm grossed out by even like the sound of it, bro. To be honest,
I like
I'm not.
mushrooms.
I don't like mushrooms.
I like 'em.
I used to go to Chinese, like the Japanese restaurants with the mushrooms. I pick them out.
Nah, I'll eat
But it's so good, and there's no crash. So I feel way better.
Yeah.
I take cold showers every single morning. Which it sounds miserable, bro.
It's good
but
for you.
It's phenomenal.
very
I come
good
out,
for
I
you.
feel like
Yes.
jacked up. And it sucks because the last 3 days I've taken a shower at the gym.
Yeah.
And I'm mad because the gym water doesn't get cold enough. And I'm like, what's good right now? I don't want, so tomorrow morning I need to finish my workout early so I can go home
take
and
a
take
cold
a cold
shower.
shit. Cause I mean, this is not,
Yeah.
when I first started, it was rough. You know what I'm saying? But starting that, I do like a quick stretch in the morning.
Full shower? Full cold shower or rinse off cold?
So I brush my teeth. I like to brush my teeth in the shower.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So I get in, I brush my teeth, and when it's warm, and then as soon as I'm done brushing my teeth, it's just straight to cold. And then
Soap?
soaped up, nice
Wow.
and fresh. And it's the greatest feeling in the world.
All right. What about you, Carlito?
I do not brush my teeth in the shower.
That's fine. But what about like habits?
I
Your
mean, the
thoughts
regular
on it?
habits are just I wake up, I shower,
All right, my man.
I do shower. Sometimes I shave in the shower, that I do. Although I don't see myself, there's no mirrors.
That's
So I just
blind.
wing it.
All right.
And on a very rare occasion do I cut myself, so that's great. So I've gotten the practice down. But
You look like you got that baby face, by the way, Carlos.
oh, dude, when I shave, it is so smooth. Like
As far as Matt didn't say pause.
like
I wanted to. I held it in. I'm trying to be
Habit.
grown. I'm trying to be grown today.
the habit.
all right, guys. Jeez, I'm gonna take you off camera. So, yeah, I mean, basically, in terms of affirmations, I used to be an affirmations person, but I think after a while, I just kind of weaned off of it. And I'm not saying that that's what you should do. I think affirmations are fantastic. The closest thing to an affirmation is really talking to my daughter or texting my daughter and making sure that she's aware that I love her. Because sometimes I leave and she's still asleep or whatever. Maybe she goes to work a little bit later. And, there's a point in time when I got divorced when I did not get to see her. I was living in a car. So to stay connected with her was very difficult other than calling her and making sure that she knew that I was around and that type of stuff. So now that she does live with me, I don't get to see her in the morning because, I let her rest and sleep. I have to make sure that every morning I say certain things or text her certain things that she just knows that I'm here, that I love her, that I care deeply about her, that I want her to be safe when she goes to work, that, keep your eyes open, all those type of things. So I don't know if they're affirmations, but they're definitely things that for me, I have to do. Because again, it's like one of those situations where you never know. Mm-hmm. And so I just make sure that she knows from me that I love her. That being said, the only other affirmations type stuff is I always have this saying that I learned a long time ago and that I kind of use as my center of life, the meaning of life. And that basically comes down to life is empty and meaningless, but it's meaningless that it's meaningless. And so simply put, I look at our life here on Earth in a universal sense, where if we were to be on planet Mars and we're looking at our planet, all our problems, all the things that we get caught up in, all the things that we worry about, to a person on the moon or to anything on any planet for that matter, is minuscule. It means nothing. We're just going to live and die and that's that, and nobody's even going to take notice. And I know that sounds very kind of like doom and gloom, but this is where the but part comes in. So life is empty and meaningless, but acknowledging that in itself is also meaningless. Like, okay, I acknowledge that most of life is pointless in the long term. 1,000 years from now, is anybody going to remember Carlos Phoenix or whatever?
I will.
Thank you for that. And then, but just acknowledging that that's okay, because that's everybody's situation. We're all kind of here temporarily, and that's life. But it's meaningless that it's meaningless, if you really grasp the whole concept, allows you to just be free of the problems, because the problems you've acknowledged now are meaningless. Like, yes, you still got to pay your bills and stuff like that, but when you die, you're not worried about the bills. When you die, like, all that is theoretically gone, except you can't acknowledge it because you're no longer conscious. So acknowledge it now before you die and live a life that has that freedom. So that freedom allows you to then make choices and decisions, kind of like the unpeeling of the onion. Mm-hmm. And the onion, if you have to figure that one out, just look at the previous episodes. And having that freedom allows you to make decisions of how to make your life better, how to make other people's lives better, and hopefully you can move forward with that. So that's kind of my version of everything we're talking about.
And then with your coach, Giovanna, what has she told you besides being vulnerable to add to your life that has made like a good change for you?
So a big thing was, is there an echo?
You just hearing
That's the headphones.
Okay.
Sorry.
I'm sorry, guys. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? I got to show something off real quick before I answer that question. I feel like I'm live on live right now, so I'm watching myself. And DJ, as I'm presenting, I think it's the coolest thing in the world that I could see myself. I wonder if would there be like an infinite loop? Because if I play my camera in front, so it's like live on live and
Sort of, yeah, kind of, maybe.
That's
like
pretty-
if you got it really close to the camera, you'd get that whole, weird.
just recording.
Forever.
That's
Yeah.
mind blowing. I love that kind of stuff, man.
Like if you watch it, if you look deep enough, you will literally see another universe.
You said that so confidently, I kind of believed it. Like I'm like, is this true now? I gotta go Wikipedia this. when we
Like
get
each
home.
one of those layers is just an alternate
Another
timeline.
one, yes.
It just goes on forever. So thank you guys. Are welcome, by the way, for doing that for you.
And there goes the views.
So, so one thing she was really big on was like trusting your inner voice, and I know we kind of talked about that and at an earlier point. But to me, I was always trying to seek like outside validation. Like, I have a great idea. What do you think about this? I want to go. Buy this house. What do you think about this? I want to go. And a lot of times I missed out on a lot of opportunities. You know what I'm saying? I had a house I could have bought before COVID. It would have it would have been like a 2-family. I could have lived in one and rented one, or just rented the whole thing. And I asked somebody kind of like I trusted at the time, and they were like, "Yo, this is a bad idea. You shouldn't do it." Now the house is worth like.
And they're the ones who end up buying it.
No, they didn't go out and buy
bought
it.
Yeah.
But I think my heart told me to do it, and then just getting like that outside validation was so important to me, where I kind of trusted them, and I lost out on a big opportunity. You know what I'm saying? So, something.
So what do you think made you stop?
Well, talking to
Was it
Jesus,
just listening to their opinion?
stop buying it.
Yeah.
Pursuing it, yeah.
I think like it was scary. It was something I wanted to do, but I was scared to do it. So kind of part of me was looking for an excuse not to do it. So when they said, "Oh, you shouldn't do it," I'm like, okay, like kind of like, all right, you're just kind of like validating my feelings, like that I wasn't good enough or capable or whatever. So I think it really stemmed from like a insecurity or lack of confidence when it comes down to it.
Okay. So I had done a live earlier this week where I talked about entrepreneurship. And it, of course, the big center of it all is that whole onion thing. The onion being that your past is your previous, you use your past to control your future, because the things that hurt you in the past are things that you kind of try and stray away from and stuff like that. So you fell right into that onion trap of making a decision out of fear rather than believing in your inner heart saying this could be a good investment or whatever else was going on in your mind. So would you acknowledge that now? I'm presuming.
Yes.
Acknowledging it, does that help in any way?
I think it obviously can't change it, but I think it, like, knowing it and being more aware of it kind of would help me avoid it in the future. You know what I'm saying? It's kind of like the history repeating itself. So now I know, I don't need outside validation anymore. I don't need to ask other people's opinions. I could ask for help, I could ask for guidance, but I don't need other people's, to tell me what to do anymore. And that wasn't always the case, where I felt like I always had to ask permission to do stuff. So going back to DJ's question about, just trusting my inner voice, where it's like, well, I have an idea, just run with it. Don't be scared. Don't really care what other people think. Go out and do it. Say what's on your mind. Follow your dreams, and that's kind of the extent of it.
I agree, and that happens like all the time. Probably me more than now. I mean, I still have those hiccups to where it's like, you need that validation of someone else to pat you on the back, like how we are with parents. It's like, oh, go ahead, walk, take your few steps, and you need that pat in the back. And I think that's where you have it. It goes back to habits, because that is a topic of. It starts from some time. You stick with it, and you don't make the changes. And one of the best habits that I've been implementing, and I think it's highly overlooked, and it's like cliche, and it's very like woo woo type of thing, but is gratitude.
Say woo woo.
Gratitude.
Yeah, gratitude is huge.
And I just don't think it is implemented enough. So it's like, oh, well, like someone gave me a drink, or they opened the door for me, so I said thank you. But it really goes like so much deeper to that. And then if something, and like this goes back to what Carl says, like, because we put value on something. So anything, and you actually mentioned this too, but you didn't air it. But like when something happens, we could take it as good, as good as bad. And like we put the value on it. So like when certain situations come up, like, can we be grateful for that situation? Like it's probably hard because it depends on how bad something could be, but like, can we be grateful for it? So that's like a habit that I'm implementing, where to put more gratitude in it. It's not just that thank you and I love you because my wife made me dinner or my kids gave me a hug. Is like it goes further than that. Yeah. Like, cause like you legitimately, like, cause I do life insurance as well, and I've had clients that I tried to follow up with. They weren't there. Not that they just didn't pick up the phone. Like the phone was answered, but it was answered by someone else because that person wasn't there. And like, we know that we're on borrowed time, but I don't think we like appreciate the time that we do have. So we're not grateful for it. And like, why? I think that should be like, if there's any habit that you want to put in to try to make a change in your life, I think it would be gratitude. Like, I don't like, affirmations are great, and the morning pages that I do is great, and all that stuff is great. But I think if you could just try to spin a lot of things around and just be grateful for it, you would see like a learning lesson in a lot of the stuff. Like you'll just see it. It's like, oh, well, this happened to me. It was like, hey, that, you know what? That sucks, because that's the value put on it. That sucks. But what did you get out of it? Well, what do you mean? It's like, now, well, I'm thankful this happened because now I know not to open up that door. I'll open up this door. Or this happened to me. I could open up this door, but I was too afraid to open up the door because I listened to someone else. Now, like, if you're like, I think gratitude would be like, if anyone took anything, it would be gratitude and be grateful. 1,000%. 1,000%.
Yeah. So I do my journaling, and then when I'm done journaling, at the very end, the last thing I do is I write 3 things I'm grateful for from that day or the past 24 hours. I love it. I think it's such a great thing. I'm glad you mentioned that.
And if you actually take the time out to do it and sit there and make yourself do it, like, you would actually find like a lot of things that you are like grateful for. Like, if you just like think to the very the very smallest thing, you're like, holy crap, like there's a lot more good than bad, or however you value it. But there's a lot more good than bad.
Yeah, so one of my classes we have, it's small. There's like 8 kids there. So we start class every day. The first 5 minutes with them journaling. We call it emotional dump. You get out all the negative
Emotional
stuff.
dump is good.
And then they follow up with the 3 things they're grateful for. And then since it's such a small group, I ask them all. Every day we go around and we all share one of the things we're grateful for.
Yep.
And some kids will say, "Oh, I don't have anything to be grateful for today." And I'm like, "Well, did you brush your teeth today?" And he's like, "Yeah." I'm like, "Well, be thankful for a toothbrush. You know what I'm saying? Be thankful for toothpaste.
Running water.
You have Jordans on your feet right now. Like, be thankful for your Jordans. Be thankful for that nice. You had like a Nike Tech on. You know what I'm saying? That's like $100 and something. I'm like, yo, you got a nice clothes on. Be thankful. So there's always stuff. And if you didn't have nice clothes, you have clothes. Even if you had to walk here, you're still here. You could break down the simplest thing to be grateful for.
Yeah.
If that's what you're looking for.
Yeah. If you're looking for it. And I think that's a habit that everyone should implement, and it could change like a lot of people's lives.
So I'm going to change it up a little bit.
Oh, shoot.
Have you? So this is actually going back to something you had mentioned. From the perspective of a male. So I had seen a TikTok or an Instagram, or I see it on every occasional basis, where it's a woman talking about. Okay, so in this particular one, a woman is asking, guys, who do you go to when you have pressure and problems and stuff like that? And then they show a bunch of clips of all these men answering that question, and all of them, although I'm sure it's not 100% of the world, are like, nobody. We don't talk to anybody. We don't call our friends and start laying it on them. And the idea of the conversation of that video is that women have their family and friends and stuff like that they reach out to, but guys, for whatever reason, we don't do that. And so I tried to like look at myself and say, do I call it? And then I was like, you know what? I don't either. And I wasn't even self-aware of it, like, until the question showed up on a video, and I'm like, we really just keep a lot of that stuff in.
Yep.
And and I don't know if you guys do or don't, but I was able to relate heavily with that video. And so I'm listening to you guys about the habits, and I'm like, okay, this is one of, I'm sure there's many more great ways of releasing some of that pressure. Because, we got to be fathers, or we got to be the man, we got to be the boss, we got to be the this, the that. All these, BS stereotypes that we just kind of throw on ourselves. And I'm sure there's all these other stereotypes for women too, but we're just kind of in this conversation. What other habits do you know of, or that you think exist, to help release some of that pressure beyond the affirmations, beyond the typical habits that most people would probably have?
Well, I would say it's fake. It's what value or what it's supposed to be that's put out there. So like it goes back to like what I was just bringing up, like the man has to do this and do that, and you have to be this, and yet that's not real. Like,
but
we put it there. And so because it's been passed down, so that's what it's not. That's not real. So like your vulnerability and mine as well made a huge change in myself. That's not in my family.
Yeah.
That's not in my family, to where you could have those conversations with your children or as our man, because you have to be the one that's like carrying everything, and you can't do this, and it's like that was the worst thing I've ever done to myself, and it didn't allow me to be a better father and a better husband, because when you're like that, you're gonna be standoffish.
Yep.
You're gonna be standoffish, and then when something doesn't go right, you don't even know how to express yourself, but in anger, frustration, being an a-hole, then you might end up doing something later on that you're gonna regret. You end up getting caught, and then you try to bring it back to, well, you just didn't really know how to express yourself and have the conversation. And being able to have an issue and just to talk to someone about it, like it's not a sign of weakness. I think it's a sign of strength in trying to fix it.
Absolutely. It's absolutely a sign of strength.
Yeah.
And it's funny how like other men would say it's a sign of weakness. Like how it could be such a big some people would see it as a strength, other people see it as a weakness. You know, I just think it's funny how it could be viewed in two kind of such different lights. And like you
Whatever
said,
value put on it.
but it's just about conditioning, you know, conditioned at such, and something I do with my students, like we talk about like the ethos, pathos, and logos, which is like kind of different marketing tactics and, you know, the way you kind of win persuasive arguments. And, you know, we talk about how like in if you have a pickup truck, right? If you see a pickup truck commercial, who's driving that truck? In 99% of the commercials, it's a man driving it. If there's a barbecue commercial, who's behind the grill? It's a man. You know what I'm saying? But then on the other end, there's a minivan commercial, who's driving the minivan in these commercials? You know, who's, you know, using the cleaning products? You know, who's, you know, using, you know, a vacuum? You know, it's women in that end. So even without nobody has to teach us these things. It's just from media, especially now with social media, you know,
Well, it's learned and
commercials.
passed down.
It's just
Learned and passed down.
continually passed down. So
Yeah.
where we don't even question it because we've seen it so often growing up. It's not even like something we question. It's not even like where we have this belief, because to us it's almost like a truth. You know what I'm saying? So you have to unlearn that truth, which is very, very difficult.
Truth is a very funny word because truth actually has nothing to do with the truth. Like, I don't know if you know that or you acknowledge that. An example, you talk to a Christian, they're going to have their truth, right, in their faith and that type of stuff. You talk to a Buddhist, they have their truth. You talk to a Hindi, they're going to have their truth. You know, different people around the world have a different version of what truth means. And they're all right, in a manner of speaking. So it's interesting, you know, a person who's on drugs has a different truth than a person who feels free of those type of addictions.
But so you don't believe in absolute truth? Like you wear glasses. Is that a truth?
Everything I'm talking about is their belief in absolute truth. Think about it.
But don't
a
you
person
think-
who's a hardcore religious person, there's no convincing them that that's your
But that's
your
their
version
belief.
of religion.
Is that a truth or is that their belief?
Well, to them, it's going to be their truth.
But just because
On an outside perspective, outside the box.
like if I say that wall's green, that just because I say it and I believe it doesn't make the wall green. Like that, it's not. It's
Well, I was going to get into politics, but I'm not going to.
No politics,
No
and no
politics.
religion.
Yeah.
Politics and no religion.
Well, long story short,
no
you know,
politics and no religion. Truth.
Roger. Got it. But the point is, everybody's going to have a perspective of what the word truth means. And then it just curls up into opinion. But not going down that rabbit hole.
I pulled you up. Bring it up.
Yeah. But yeah, so people have a different version of truth, which is what's interesting is how even in different cultures, their version of habits, you know, if we're having this conversation and what we do when we wake up, what we do when you have coffee, what we do when you have affirmations, all those type of things, in a different part of the world, they have their own version of that. And I find it fascinating because it just means that there's many, many answers to converting your life, to reframing your perspective of what things are happening to you. People of Turkey right now, their mindset in terms of trying to be positive is a much more powerful one than us just waking up in the morning. Because they have to wake up in whatever devastation they wake up in and still have their version of affirmations that can be very different than ours. And I think that's stepping outside the box, looking from the outside in. It's the most beautiful thing, I think, as humans that we have the capability in different ways, different cultures, different belief systems to find our version of what we want to believe in terms of truth and create a faith that is going to pull us of whatever route we're in. And that, I think, is amazing. And so when I watched that video, going back to that video, and hearing all these men saying no, I wish that the video had ended with one of these answers of, okay, so you're alone, we get it. You don't talk to anybody about it. But here's some ways to not feel like you're just stuck in a box.
Yeah. So what was the point of the commercial? Like,
It wasn't a commercial, it was just a TikTok or Instagram video. And it was just, certain women acknowledging, because it's more than, I've seen more than one woman do these type of videos, is acknowledging that men have a lot of pressure and stuff like that. A lot of, I'm sure in our youth, a lot of people look at guys and like, man, they don't worry about nothing. They're just living the free life and this and that, not realizing that, we also grow up with a certain amount of pressure of expectation that's going to happen when we grow up, when we turn into adults. The pressure of providing for the family, having that good job of being able to bring food to the table. And women have that now too.
In peer pressure amongst other men, in sports, and then even like just even women. Oh, what's your count? What's your count? Stuff like that. Like that's another thing. Like it's just, we do put a lot of pressure on ourselves and don't know how to release that pressure. So I think that's like a really good point. But I think the fact that everything is bottled up leads to negative reactions.
Yeah.
So what kind of habits, since that's a topic, right? Like I don't want to go into we're all doomed and depressed and stuff like that. But a lot of us can fall into that. Everybody at some point has their down day. You can have a great week, but then you always have that one day of the week or one day of the month that you just can't grasp that positivity. So what habits do you find help you when that's your day?
I don't think you can grasp all positivity, but I think you could find one. And that's why I say it goes with it kind of goes with the gratitude. Now, if I had a lost one, if I lost a loved one, like that's extreme. Like I don't think I could find anything in it, but that's when people try to say like, well, remember the good things about them. That's when people say stuff like that. But I think it's really up to you. It's really up to you to find it. Like there's people who has a bad day, or a bad situation that can make it into a bad day, or it could be a bad situation that for the next 1 minute, 2 minutes, 3 minutes, 5 minutes is like F. And then it's like, you know what? I'm going to change it around and make it happen. And I don't think just the positivity, like everyone just like, I'm so positive. But like, I think you really have to work to make it happen. I know there's people, I know some people that just like, they go out their way to not be happy.
They're comfortable being happy. They're comfortable being unhappy.
It's like the sign says like, let's just go this way. Let's make things right. I think I'm gonna go right here because and it's just like it's just like it really is. Sometimes it can come down to just like really being a choice.
So you know what I find interesting about that? For some people, it's the only way they feel alive. You know what I'm saying? Like some people say, when you're in love, that's when you feel the inspiration of life and you feel that. But some people may not have that opportunity to feel or get that love. So for them, any emotion is a sign that they're still breathing. And sometimes they don't want to try to think positively because it's just going to snap back in their face. And that's their attitude. That's the way they think and see it. Not realizing, what harm they're doing on their physical body by staying in the safe box of depression or sadness, or just not reframing their thinking into a positive note.
Yeah.
So, and that's probably why people get turned to medicines and medications or therapy or whatever. And that sucks. But But the only reason I say this because I know I've been there. I've been there where I was like I just didn't want to feel the positive because my safe place was sadness and crying and knowing that hey, as long as I have a deep emotion, I know I'm alive. It beat being dead.
So how'd you get out of that? To where you
It took a
are
long
today?
time. In fact, I actually ended up. It wasn't therapy, but I did do something.
Coaching?
Called. It's kind of like coaching. I did something called the Forum. I don't know if you ever heard of
Don't call it
that.
coaching.
Yeah, have you heard of the Forum?
I think I've heard it, but I don't know enough about it.
So the Forum is like is almost like attending a week-long seminar, and the whole focus of it is what is it to be a human being? What is it about you that allows you to participate in the world in a positive manner, productive manner, and be like the next Steve Jobs, as an example. Now, I'm not trying to convert everybody to be a Steve Jobs, but what they're saying is, look, you've had shit happen to your life. Excuse my terminology. It doesn't mean that that has to be a reality. And they use terminology, they use thinking processes that are so deep and different that you have to sign a waiver saying, this stuff could possibly make you suicidal. And if you think you're suicidal, do not attend. Because you're going to go so deep into yourself that hopefully by the time that the sessions are over, you'll get it and you're ready to produce something out of the world. So that's what made me snap out of it. I don't think I could have done that on my own if you're that deep down. And I don't know. I mean, I think about, let's say, guys in the military, when they get out of the military and there's no support and they've had seen and lived certain things that I can't even, don't want to admit, imagine. But I guess I'm trying to see if I can bring it back to habits. But in the conversations that you have in this seminar, the habits that you do develop are things that we've talked about, which is writing your thoughts down, like you said you do in the morning, and writing your feelings down. And what's great about writing your feelings down is that once you've written them, the exercise is to read them to yourself. Or if you're fortunate to have someone with you, have them read them to you, or you read them to them over and over and over again, to the point where you start realizing how funny it sounds. Because you start realizing, man, I sound pathetic. I sound ridiculous. Like if you have a friend that's always whiny, when you start realizing that you are also whiny and you can hear it from yourself after repeating it over and over again, when the more times you repeat it, the more you start distancing yourself. And it's kind of like stepping outside the box, looking at yourself out. The power of being able to repeat it over and over again, and then it finally hits you. The idea is that once you release the dark part and you start laughing at it, then you crumple that piece of paper and throw it away. And theoretically, you're like letting go of whatever is making you feel that way. Yeah. And so that's the exercise. And I think that would be a great habit to take.
I love that. Yeah, I love the idea of repetition till you hear it yourself. I think that's really, really cool. Another habit I've incorporated was, I'm trying to think, I guess like learning to say no, and learning it's okay to say no. I had a big problem. I think I overcommitted to so many things. I think, I always wanted to help everybody. Anybody need anything, like I was always there. And
You didn't help me move.
you didn't call me.
Yeah, you didn't pick up.
I always pick up for you, DJ. So just learning to say no, like, yo, I can't do this. It's okay, and it's okay to prioritize myself. Like, I don't need to be, always out there, always doing something. It's okay to just, take it easy sometimes. Saying no was a big issue for me in the past.
So when I'm moving again, now it's no.
See.
So I should hit you up before now.
You should have hit me up before, man. You could have taken advantage before.
Now it's no.
Now it's no.
All right.
But I would love to help you out. But you know what? It's not a problem of doing the things. It's a problem of, am I doing it because I wanted to do it? Or am I doing it because I feel obligated or I feel like I have to do it? You know, if I don't, or if I say no, you won't like me anymore. If I say
So
no,
you needed to be liked by everyone.
there you go.
So is that like a peer pressure?
No, not a peer pressure, because like a lot of people would say no. I'm like, they'd be like, okay, like no problem. But in my head, kind of like the story I would tell myself would be like, oh, they're gonna be mad at me, or they're not gonna want to hang out with me anymore. Maybe if I'm not helping them, then what value am I bringing? You know what I'm saying? So it was really came down to like the way I viewed myself, and it wasn't even like I wasn't even aware of this, like that the reasoning behind it. You know, the way I can analyze it now, I was never ever aware of that. I was never like, I'm gonna help you so you like me. I just thought it was something I had to do. And I was able to connect the dots with the help of Giovanna, who's fantastic. I got a lot of love for Giovanna.
Yeah, something like that is like what I heard was like people can't make themselves happy. So if they feel like they do something for someone else, they're happy. It actually makes you happy.
Yeah.
So like I think that's how I could see why you would say yes to everything, because you're not taking care of yourself. So you need that quick caffeine shot of someone else that, oh man, good looks, I really appreciate you. Then that makes you feel good. But then when you go home, like you're back to your normal self because you don't have that other hit.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can see that. I didn't really care. Tell you the truth, like, yo, I need you. Can't do it right now, man.
I feel you.
Yeah.
Yeah, some people have no pride. I also say, I wish I could just say no sometimes.
Yeah. Nah, I'm busy, y'all.
That's it.
Yeah.
But sometimes you don't need to explain. Just like, oh, I'm sorry, I can't.
Yeah,
Like, that's it. You know?
Explanations is something I do have. Because I was like, I was like, what story can I tell him? It's like not making up a story, but like, it's just a no, bro. Like you're just not doing it no more. Like I still do to this day, where if I can't something to do, it's like, all right, I gotta. Not that I'm making something up, but it's like I have to make it sound legit. But it's like, no, if it's just you can't.
Like, I'm tired.
Yeah, it's like yeah.
Had a long day.
If you can't, you can't. So that's still something. So that's a bad habit that I got to work on. And then I do feel guilty with stuff, and that's like that's a bad habit, is feeling guilty. If it's no, it's no. If you want to do something that you want to do, D, like you just got to do it.
Yeah.
And don't feel bad. Mm-hmm. I was actually just talking to my coach about that today.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, I'll go over that with you later. It's just like, is this gonna better you? He was like, yeah. It's like. And he just got quiet. I'm like, hello, you there? So he's like, what's the problem? If it's gonna better you, what's the problem? So, anything else, my guys?
No, I mean, I guess I'll throw in my 2 cents on what I feel is peer pressure, but it could be societal pressure or whatever pressure. But here I am. I'm trying to build these businesses, and sometimes you want to tell somebody about what you're doing. Right, you want to get some affirmation or confirmation that you're doing something positive and what have you. And sometimes you always have that person that's kind of like, are you sure you're doing the right thing? Are you sure that that's the right way to do it, or this and that? And that's why I have to be like, you know what? Don't listen to that. Because then you start doubting it and questioning it. And this is something I've been planning for years. So I can't let something, a simple trip up, to make me be like, well, am I doing the right thing? I can't let that happen.
Yeah. And I think, and I just want to like comment on that really quickly. If there's something like you don't like somebody who's always been kind of like a jerk, and they say, oh, you're going to fail, Carlos, it's a bad idea. Because they're a jerk, you're able to kind of, okay, I don't care what you say. It's easy to dismiss it. But when that comes in the form of somebody who loves you, and they're doing it because they're they really, well, I don't want to say they don't love you, because I think
they love you. So people do like, it's like, I don't think you should do that because they want
what's best for you.
Yeah.
But because you know what I'm saying. So when it comes from somebody who you love and you believe they love you, it's a lot harder to kind of dismiss that. And then that's, I could see like avalanche kind of start happening.
Yeah, you start wondering, am I prioritizing the wrong thing? Like, should I be thinking about more of my daughter, or is what I'm doing helping to build something better for my daughter? Like, should I think about the now, or should I still focus on the later or the future?
Yeah.
Things of that nature.
So
it's crazy.
I think something I would say is like, if you live that conventional lifestyle for your daughter, like you just said, like, I need to play that safe route for my daughter, what you're implicitly teaching her then is she needs to settle for the rest of her life.
Right.
Whether you go out and even if you fail, the fact that she saw you go out and take a chance, that's going to teach her.
Speaks volumes.
Yeah, that's going to teach her like, yo, I don't need to live according to everybody else's standards. I can go out and try my own thing like my dad did.
Yeah, I mean, I think what I'm doing, the way I'm approaching everything is ridiculous. And that's the beauty of it. Because I had been playing it safe for so long that I started to realize, look at all these entrepreneurs that exist that are like really successful. And they went into the ridiculousness. They did some stupid shit in decisions that now are paying back the way it's supposed to. Because if you play it safe, I'm playing it safe now. Let's say I have a regular 9-to-5 job. I'm not saying that that's the wrong decision for most people, but for me, this is me playing it safe. And now I'm gonna play stupid. Not stupid in I'm a dummy type of way, but just
Brave. Can we say brave, Carlos?
Sure, you know what? Brave.
There we go.
We're
See?
just, I'm entering into such an unknown, and the results that I'm starting to get are insane. Things that should not be happening are happening. And not that they shouldn't be happening. It's things that you thought couldn't happen are happening because you tried. And that's the fear that we usually run into is we're always afraid of trying because we think and assume that it's just not going to work, or people are not going to understand, or you should be playing it safe. Like when I was an artist, I was doing sci-fi fantasy art. And as an artist, you always have that haunting stereotype of, oh, you're going to be a starving artist. I did okay. I did pretty good. And I wasn't the best artist. I was okay. I was mediocre. But what allowed me to get jobs is the fact that I kept going for it. Other artists that were really good were so focused on the art that they never thought about the business. So I would be able to get jobs that they were not getting only because I was dumb enough to go after it. And then I got it. Why? Because they didn't bother. They didn't try. They just thought that the talent itself would generate income. And it doesn't really work that way. Look at all the music artists or successful, sports people. They're not just relying on the money that they're making. They're using that money to make more.
Yeah.
But it goes back to what you said, what you shouldn't say anymore, is that those artists who probably were very talented said that I shouldn't be getting this. So you said I'm doing things that I shouldn't be getting. But you're going for it. But those artists probably said I probably shouldn't be getting this role because where I am right now, and they don't even try. So in The Alchemist, the book, when you want something, all the universe conspires in helping you to achieve it. And that's what's happening right now.
All right,
it's not
now I
that
want
you
to get that
shouldn't.
book.
Yeah, it's not that you
Now I
shouldn't
wanna
be
get
getting.
that book.
No, he recommended. It's perfect. Like I went over with him the other day. It is fitting. It's fitting, like with me right now, and like it's helping me move forward. And this actually goes back to about the vulnerability that like you and I spoke about a book, but it went personal. Mm-hmm. You and I never really spoke about anything like that before. Like everything was about like sports and wings and stuff like that and taking care of the kids. But like that was like it was kind of like a little bit of depth on like what we spoke about, and it was just like a 15-minute conversation. It's like, yo, this is what I got in the book, and this is how it's applying into my life, and this, that, and the third. And like I wouldn't have done that before, and maybe he wouldn't have accepted it before, but the vulnerability and making it into a habit. Because I was hesitant in even calling you, but something told me, like, you know what? That's what you wanted to do. Go ahead and do it.
See it, listen to that inner voice.
Yeah, so that's what you go and just go ahead and do it. And I was like, yo, this is what I learned. Da, 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 da. I was like, yo, D, that's good. And da, 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 da. And it's like, well, what if you look at it like this way too? And da, 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 da. I was like, yeah. And you like, yeah. It's like, all right, I gotta go. You gotta go. And like, it's just like it was just one of those things that was just like, just do it. It wasn't like let's go out to have wings in 3 nights from now, and then maybe we'll. It was just like one of those
happen.
spontaneous and just go, because now that is a habit to where it's like when something comes up now, it's like, all right, I'm just gonna go ahead and do it. If something comes up, it's like, all right, I just gotta go ahead and say it, and like that's growth, you know, and that when you get uncomfortable, that means you're growing. So if you make it a habit of getting uncomfortable, you're gonna grow from there. Whatever it is. So that's my 2 cents on habits.
So I'm going to read some comments that are in our audience.
Some fan mail.
You're so funny. All right. So one of them is Teresa, a friend of mine in Georgia.
What's up, Teresa?
Don't question other people's thoughts. Keep moving towards what's working for you and believe in. And then we have Frank, who actually is one of the gentleman that introduced me to this product that I'm using right now to produce this show. So thank you for coming, Frank. And he's saying multi-camera podcasting. That could make an excellent customer story video for Yellow Box. So
My man Frank.
That's a little
Appreciate you.
promotion and advertising. You can
Yeah.
get yours at livestreammaster.com.
Hey.
So that's my little commercial break right there. So
Shameless plugs. I like it.
so yeah, we have to understand that we are here on this planet on our own. And we have to understand that because of that, we have to stop paying attention to everything that's happening around us. Because the choices that we make is what's going to be best for us, provided that we are sane enough to make the right choices. And the keeping of the sanity is our responsibility as best as possible. And those who are around us, those who love us and support us, should also participate in that keeping us sane. So,
Should? I don't think they should. You would like for them to, but I don't think they should.
yeah, I mean, I guess should is the weaponized word there, huh?
Because if we think they should,
Then
and
we're
then we don't,
expecting it.
and we don't get it, then that's what keeps us.
In our-
We shouldn't have expectations.
Expectations is like one of the worst things on the planet. I agree.
Next to comparison.
I don't care about comparisons.
Really?
I comparison like, yeah, I don't care about comparisons. Me personally, I don't know, but expectations that's a tough one.
See, we have different truths, just like you say.
Yeah.
My man Carlos dropping gems.
So yeah, I don't know. Expectations is something that we can do to ourselves as well. And an example, okay, so how many of us go out and play the lotto, right? Some people just say, I'm going to put $100 on the lotto. I'll have to win, because I'm reducing the chances of me not winning or whatever. And then we lose anyway, and we're like,
Yeah.
we still get that emotional, like, oh man, I can't believe I just threw away $100 and stuff like that. So that's a but I don't. I guess comparison, like I'm thinking outside of other people, where let's say when I was heavy set, which was only recently, and I lost 100 pounds, but when I had those 100
Word?
pounds. Oh yeah. A year ago, a little over a year ago, I was over 100 pounds heavier than I am now.
Yeah, I remember when Biggie said girls used to call me Fatso, now they call me Castro. My man Carlos came up, man.
Well, what's funny is so when I was
Or he came
younger,
down, actually.
When I was younger,
Yes,
I was
came
super
down.
skinny. I was bony skinny, like nasty, yucky, ugh. And I always had my mother be like, "Oh, you're so skinny, you're so skinny." Then I started working out. I had to take a 10,000 calorie wheat whey shakes to gain weight, but we're working out, so it was gaining muscle. But I wasn't gaining fat, so it was muscle, but it was like super tight,
No.
like no body fat, and it looked nasty because you see like all the veins and all that stuff. And then somehow I just added big pies of pizza and all that type of stuff, and I ended up, looking a little bit better. And then I got married many years later, and I got chunky, eating dinner at home and stuff like that. And then it got dangerous, where my heart was starting to what they call harden. I don't know what the actual medical terminology is, but that's how they told it to me. And that's when I chose to have a surgery to remove majority of my stomach. So it has nothing to do with habits, but actually it does.
You had
I
some
had bad habits.
Yes.
So let's turn this conversation to some habits. People who smoke. Yes, to answer your question, we are in the same room. I just set up the cameras a little differently because the room is small. So the bad habits are when you eat junk food and stuff like that. they taste great. They have salt and all these preservatives, all this type of stuff, and we don't take in the science of what happens when we are feeding our engine called our bodies. And what ends up happening is, just like if you don't get your oil changed, your body parts get clogged. So if you think of yourself as a car, and there's all these little wires and cables and oils going to the tires, and little lubricants are going to all these different places, and you're not putting the right gas and this and that. The engine's like you're revving it up too much and it's overworked and this and that. Next thing you know, your car is like just.
He knows nothing about cars, but proceed.
Isn't that what happens with the car? Well, I guess it doesn't count anymore because everything's electrical now. So think about that. So think of the car life cycle as the human condition. We started with all these parts: the engine, the heart, the cables that take the oil to the different parts of the car is your veins and your arteries and stuff like that. The fuel that you put in is the fuel you're consuming. The fact that you don't go to the doctor and stuff like that is you're not changing out the oil. All those type of things. And then next thing you know, you wonder why your car dies after 300,000 miles or 200,000 miles or 100,000 miles, right? You don't change your oil. You don't, take care of yourself. You're not brushing your teeth. Whatever it is that you're not doing to do things right for your body, that's a bad habit. And now look at what's happening with cars. Oh, we don't need that anymore. You don't need to get an oil change because there's no oil anymore. It's all electrical. So what is that supposed to mean for us if we were humans? Are we going to be robots next?
Tune in to the next show, everyone. We are now a artificial intelligence.
All right. So is it just going to end like that? Tune in next time.
No. But I think I'm good.
Yeah.
Are you good? You got any?
Yeah, I got it out of my system.
We got to add Mr. Metaphor.
I had to get the surgery.
He was killing with the metaphors.
I had to eat vegetables. I had to clean my veins. I have all that stuff. Right now, my dad is getting stents put into his legs and put stents into his heart. Mm-hmm. I mean, because that diet.
Wow.
My knees are hurting. Arthritis is starting to kick in. Just, it's not taking care of yourself. And if we, there's certain things that I think should have been taught in school.
Or was it?
Not to the extent that it should. One, how to really take care of your body. Yeah, we had like those little classes and stuff, little health class and stuff, but either we just truly weren't paying attention at all, or they just weren't trying hard enough to teach us. Second, how do you buy a house?
With DJ.
How do you invest? What habits? What financial habits? We should have talked about that too. Financial habits.
There was like I don't even want to get into that, but I brought up that like about school too. But like, let's keep it funky. Like when you're in school, it's about sports and lunch and this that, and the third. There's a select people that are really gonna pay attention to everything. Like I don't think you should teach all of that in school. I didn't even pick
Our
up on that
truths
stuff.
are failing here.
No, it's because like how many kids even like really pay attention to? I think it's a great starter for a lot of things, and there are supplemental classes that people can take.
Sure.
There are. Like there really are classes that you can find to take, but do you seek out to go ahead and do it? That is like saying that is like the same way when you have an old person who's on their deathbed and says, "Oh, I wish someone had." The information was out there. It's like, but did you go ahead and pay attention to it? Because there's things in school that I could have learned more. And when someone's like, "Yo, we were in class together and they went over this stuff. We went to the same school." And I'm like, all right. So like, there's times I want to blame school too, but it's just to get you started. And it really comes down to like what can we do as parents as well. So like you're gonna get influence inside of school, and then you're gonna get influence outside of home. Like, are we doing enough for our kids outside of like, all right, the credit card came in the mail, but this is what happens when you get a credit card. Like I have to do better with my son. Like he'll get money from the tooth fairy. He's like, oh, I want to go ahead and buy it. It's like,
Yeah, exactly.
Should I just tell him no, you can't buy that, or is like, well, the reason why you can't buy this is because this has happened, this happened, this would happen. That's what I have to do as a father. Like, you're not going to learn all that by 12th grade. They're just teaching you.
But I think they can set a
basics.
better foundation. right? Like how often do you use I can't even say it. Pythagorean's theory.
Is it Pythagorean theory?
Pythagorean theorem.
Yeah, that's what
how
it
often do you use that?
I don't know.
Never. You never use it.
That's the field I chose to never use it.
But so why we? But there's stuff. There's
It's
stuff like
9 o'clock, yo.
like that. Maybe
I-
specialized people will need, but there's stuff that it's skills everybody should be taught. Everybody should have. If you want to be a math major or math specialist, then go learn about that stuff. But why are we disregarding the stuff Carlos is talking about?
No, I don't think
and
it's
learning
disregard.
about it?
No. So what if? All right. So what if we take it? What if you take it another way, where it's like, why do I need to learn this? Or we could use that as a foundation of there's certain things that I don't want to do, but it's gonna get me to here. I don't want to make all these freaking calls, but I want to get paid. That's how I try to see school as now. Is because if I have the attitude of like it's not good, then I don't think I could really teach my son to be successful in school outside of threatening him. Like you got to be good in school, or you're not gonna. But like if you could tell, like if you could have the conversation, like I was having the conversation with him yesterday, it's like things are not what you want right here. But I was like, it leads to going over there. Like, could there be better things I've done in school? Maybe. Like, I'm not here to say that. I believe there could be, but like, I don't think we should just say like, just totally SHIT all over it.
Well, all right. So school. And here's my opinion. School is made for us to just learn how to be the worker bees.
Conform.
Right? Even after public school, you go to college. If you think about college, you realize
That I agree with.
college is designed in a way where all it is really meant to do is have you figure out how to get a salary or a paycheck, right? And all of them have a cap. You'd have to be superior, like really, really outsmarting the system to break through your salary cap. Even a doctor or a lawyer, they have salary caps. Like they don't get a paycheck of $1 million. They make the paycheck of $1 million
Business.
is in court where they're kind of taking their third or whatever they take in multi-million-dollar lawsuits. But other than that, their salary is probably just $200,000, $300,000 maybe, and that's a cap. The people that I've been interviewing lately, they control their cap.
Or, say it, Matt, no cap.
And they don't go to college. They didn't go to college. They were able to create from either their talent or desire or whatever you want to call it, their freedom. And if you look at most millionaires, very few of them, although there are a few, graduated college.
Higher education.
Yeah. So habits, everybody has one.
I don't know. How do we get into that school one? I don't think that's.
I'm not sure. We kind of segued into that.
Yeah.
I could have gone off.
Yeah, I didn't want you to get fired.
And I'm a
man.
teacher too.
I
and
know. I don't want you to get
I have
fired.
strong feelings about the way school is. So I'm glad we got cut off a little bit there. I was about to go in.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, I think that's it. My name is Dana George.
Matthew Javier, the Salty and Lit coach,
And Carlos Phoenix.
live streaming master, the Godfather,
I'm the mortgage guy.
the metaphor master.
Metaphor master.
That was beautiful, bro. The way you painted that picture.
He's an artiste.
You see, you are an artist.
Well, he actually is an artist.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, like legitimate, like
Even with his words.
yeah, paint him with his words. All right, everybody.
Guys, have a great night. God bless you.
Take care, guys.
Peace.
Thank you for watching. Bye.